Hello everyone, and welcome to our first week of Your Best Self series. I'm really excited to be offering this for free to all of you who are interested in just taking better care of yourself in lots of different ways. My name is Amanda Stanley. I own the company Lion's Tooth Wellness, and I wanted to, for those of you who might be new to me and maybe don't know exactly what I offer or do during my regular classes and or clients that I work with, I want to just give you a little bit of background around just that. So first of all, one of the things that I love to talk about and practice is the art of just creating sacred space and space clearing, and also pulling energy together. So this is Palo Santo. This is one of my favorite smudging tools or herbal smoking tools that just kind of calls all of our spirits together, because even though we might all be watching this video at different times, different places with different intentions for ourselves, we're all here interested in this work, and we're all here to help and learn from each other. So Palo Santo is one of those wonderful, it's a bark of a tree it actually grows in South America. It's a lovely, sweet, almost lemony sandalwood kind of scent. It helps to clear energy and empower and connect each and every one of us. So across the miles of where each of us might be residing watching this, I give thanks to all of you. I'm super honored to be offering this series to you. So thanks for being here. So I'll set this off to the side, and I'm going to just jump right into my little spiel about myself and about Lion's Tooth Wellness. So I started my practice around, 2006, and I was recovering from a bad car accident, which was kind of crazy. I was even in a wheelchair, and that was when I started my website, started figuring out what my business name was going to be and what I wanted to do with my herbal knowledge and with my alternative sort of medicine knowledge. But even before that, I had kind of stumbled upon a place called Misty Meadows, and it's in Lee, New Hampshire, and my first and sort of most honored teacher I had the privilege of working with was Wendy Fogg, and Wendy Fogg is a senior herbalist over at Misty Meadows, and she has 6-month apprenticeships, and I had just kind of it had been I think three years, yeah, because I started that apprenticeship in 2005 with her, and so that fall I applied for the 6-month apprenticeship, and the following February I was diagnosed with high-grade cervical dysplasia and HPV. And while this is a very well-known sort of disease or imbalance nowadays, because we have the vaccine and we have lots of sort of awareness and education around what this virus is and what these conditions are, I didn't back in the day. It was 2005. There wasn't a lot of knowledge. I had never heard of HPV. I had never heard of, I guess I had heard of cervical cancer a little bit, but not how you get it and the different ways to kind of fight against it. So when I heard the C word, the cancer word, I freaked out. And kind of sat with my options. Because the high-grade cancer cells were growing all over my cervix, my doctors wanted to have a laser treatment or laser procedure rather, where the first layer of my cervix would be removed and just kind of sliced off. And while that had its benefits, in my mind and in my heart, I realized that's kind of like cutting off the problem. There's got to be a deeper reason why I contracted this, why my body wasn't strong enough to kind of combat these cancer cells and combat the virus. And I was kind of just like, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's the right thing to do. And so I asked my doctors if I had time to kind of play around with some alternatives, and I did. They were able to give me 3 months, and they said, after the 3 months, if you can't, if you don't have any luck with other options, then I think the best route is to go ahead with the laser treatment. And so this is before the apprenticeship started. That apprenticeship would have started in May, and this was like February-ish. And so I called Wendy up, and I really wanted to make an appointment with her because, obviously I'm jumping into an herbal apprenticeship. I had interest there, so I wanted to start walking my talk early because I really didn't have any previous knowledge of integrative medicine, and I wanted to kind of just jump on in with it. So called, she wasn't available. She's a super busy lady. She still is, and I wasn't able to get an appointment with her. But I, for some reason, through my many years of waitressing at a breakfast joint called Colby's in Portsmouth, I had a regular customer who was a chiropractor but also an Ayurvedic practitioner, and he would leave me a business card every time that he would pay for his check. And I had accumulated some of these, and for some reason during this time I came across this business card, and I was like, oh yeah, there's that Ayurvedic chiropractor guy in Portsmouth. Like, maybe I should check him out, because I had learned a little bit about Ayurveda when I studied abroad in India during my time at UNH. And it was intriguing to me. And it was an alternative sort of holistic viewpoint of taking care of oneself. So I was like, well, I'm going to call him up. I'm going to see if I can kind of skip the chiropractic and just jump right into that Ayurveda and, you know, see what he can't offer me. And it ended up working out. I went in to see him. He gave me a 3-month sort of regimen to follow. It included eating differently, changing my lifestyle, stress levels, practicing yoga, practicing meditation, and doing a few different kinds of cleanses, including herbs. And so I went through that process, and you know, I definitely pretty much stuck to the schedule. I played around a little bit because there was a couple celebrations during that time, a friend's birthday and whatnot, that I indulged a little bit, but that's okay, right? Because it's all about balance. But otherwise, I really strictly adhered to those 3 months, and I went back to my doctor after those 3 months to get a pelvic exam once more, and there was no trace of any precancerous cells. There was no trace of HPV. I was completely clear, and I was completely empowered and excited that I was able to make those changes, that I was offered the tools from the Ayurvedic practitioner, and I was told, hey, do this, you know, do these things for your body, do these things for your mind, body, and spirit, and we'll see what we can do. So it was incredible. I haven't had an abnormal pap smear or pelvic exam since, and I am just so blessed and grateful for that experience, because it's really what kind of started me out as my foundation, my springboard into the world of integrative medicine, because I was about to start that apprenticeship in May. So it was very cool moving into even deeper knowledge, including herbal medicine from what I learned with Wendy for those 6 months. And then, of course, with anything, I guess, in life, but especially with herbal medicine, you will never stop learning. You will never stop going deeper into the myriad of herbs, but also the hundreds of ways that you can use a single herb. I'm incredibly passionate about using the wild medicinals, the wild weeds that grow around us, paying particular attention to which ones show up in our backyards and on our city streets, and what they're good for and how we can use them. So I love herbs. I love just holistic practices on really simple foundational tools to take care of oneself. Because when I look back at when I did the Ayurvedic cleanse, if you will, or kind of protocol for those 3 months, there wasn't much drastic, you know, sort of practices happening on. I certainly did a cleanse that was on the hard side. You know, that was like a 9-day cleanse, and that was challenging and can be for anyone. But mostly it was taking care of myself, like making time for all those important things that all of us know we should be doing, but maybe don't make time for them. And that's the thing about taking care of yourself. You have to make time. No one is going to make it for you. And so since then, I have just been kind of filling my knowledge base, my sort of toolbox of ways that I can help others. Since I started that first apprenticeship in 2005, I've been able to study with lots of different herbalists, lots of different practitioners. I also practice Reiki, which is an amazing form of energy work that I also got the master teacher level of training and certification through Wendy Fogg, again, from Misty Meadows. I'm now a certified yoga teacher that I love. I'm in the middle of another 300-hour training with Erin Ehlers of Yoga on the Hill Kittery, who is incredible, and I feel like that's another enormous sort of adjunct that I can add and offer people for my program. So the way that I like to work with people are ways like this, just like sort of little webinar series, and connecting to people and offering them simple but really valuable tools to take care of yourself. I also work one-on-one with clients, either for 1 month or 3 months at a time, because there's so much to kind of dig deep with and delve into. I use herbal medicine as a lot of my protocols, but I look at holistic sort of viewpoint of people's lives first. So food and exercise and supplements and stress support, all these things kind of weave in together to paint a picture of what's going on with you and maybe why you're having imbalances. So I love to work closely with people for an extended period of time. I always incorporate Reiki, because that just empowers and eases us through any transition and any sort of challenge in our lives, whether it's mental, emotional, physical. And it's just so much fun. It makes you feel so good when you get it. And then I offer lots of other options during those programs to kind of educate you and, again, offer you the tools to take with you and use as you so desire, and to teach you what, to kind of teach you to turn inward and tune into your body's needs, your body's unique sort of balances and imbalances, what that looks like, because we're all so different. There is not one quick fix for every person. There's not one sort of diet protocol or exercise protocol. We are so unique. And Ayurveda, of course, I fell in love with it when it helped me on my healing path. So I've now drawn from that as well, and I use that in my practice to kind of individualize people's protocols and people's sort of regimens, if you will, for lots of different imbalances. It could be anything. So those are the ways I also kind of tune in and help my community. I love also just sharing the knowledge of herbs. So I have my Herbal Empowerment series in person and online. And I also teach an introduction to Ayurveda, which I'm doing online this fall as well, which is just an incredible sort of system of healing. Ayurveda literally means the science of life. So it's basically about tuning back into nature, into your own nature, into the nature around you, to find that balance and to find those lifestyles and those habits that serve you best. And of course, yoga fits in there as well. I'm definitely a melting pot of offerings around integrative medicine, but that's where I'm coming from. I'm here to empower and educate and just support people on their path wherever they are, meeting them where they're ready to make changes, because it's not always easy and it doesn't always happen overnight. Sometimes, it takes years to become imbalanced in a certain way and to kind of develop diseases, and sometimes it takes just as long, or hopefully not as long, but a good chunk of time to kind of reverse them and to bring ourselves back to that homeostasis, that balance that our bodies are craving. So I'm so excited, again, to be here with you, even via video, to share some of these things that I've learned and that I've experienced from my own sort of healing path, and that I've offered others along the way with a lot of success. And some of these things that we'll talk about each week could be really simple things that you're like, yeah, what is she talking to me about this for? But perhaps you haven't been practicing them. And then some other things that will be new and that will be related to herbs and even maybe aromatherapy. We're going to see how things unfold and what direction kind of this program takes, or the series takes rather. So without further ado, let's jump into what I want to cover today, which is definitely one of the most important, vital things that we can be doing for ourselves. It really is pretty much free. I'll have to say, there's a couple little asterisks that I'll kind of well, it's free, but so it's almost free, and it's very readily available to everyone in any area of life. So before I reveal this first kind of tool and ally to you, I want to talk to you about how it benefits your entire body, your entire life. So I have my cheat sheet notes here. Okay, so inflammation and joint pain. And that's inflammation anywhere in the body, but especially joints, like arthritic conditions, cracking, achy joints, things like that. It will help to clear this up. Headaches, weight loss, boost your metabolism, boost your energy, boost your clarity of thought, like the mental brain fog. I tend to have mine around 3 o'clock in the afternoon is when the fog settles in for me. I use this ally, this tool, and it can clear my brain and give me that energy boost. It's skin. It's not skin. It helps your skin though. It helps to clarify your skin. It helps to make it just shinier, more moisturized. The elasticity can improve. Your heart function, your liver function, which is a huge one, liver, gallbladder, spleen, all of your organs, especially for detoxifying, for flushing, for cleaning house. Often you don't need to get cleansing kits. You don't always need to do a cleanse, the master cleanse or the herbal capsule cleanse or the psyllium cleanse or whatever it is. There's lots of different cleanses out in the market. Use this tool and it's gonna help cleanse you on a regular basis. What else? Gallbladder stones and kidney stones, it can help to break those down and flush some more easily if that's something that you struggle with. Autoimmune diseases, it helps to alleviate a lot of those symptoms. It lubricates, so kind of coming back to the joints aspect. If you crack and pop and kind of have those creaky, achy joints, it's really going to help that as well. Also, the healthy production of our cells and the healthy proliferation of them and flushing out the ones that are malformed or possibly even cancerous, which is really, malformed cells are like the precancerous cells. So we all have them, not to freak anyone out, but that's what a malformed cell is. It's a precancerous cell. So we're always kind of flushing them out because sometimes our bodies are tired or maybe there's too many kind kind of chemicals or free radicals floating around in there, and the cells are just having a harder time to reproduce in a healthy way. So we've got to flush them out, and our bodies, when we give them what it needs, what they need to thrive, can flush those guys out no problem. So this tool will help that as well. So any ideas swirling around what this one thing is that helps all of these things and much more? This is just kind of like scratching the surface on what can benefit you by using this. Well, it's water. It's water. I know. Simple. One of those things that I was saying earlier that it's almost free is the fact that depending on where you live, and actually, yeah, I feel like almost all water. You know, I don't like to get too like downer-ish with things like this, like the environment and all the chemicals everywhere, because there is truth, of course. That's the fact of the matter. That's the world that we have created and live in. But I don't want to harp on that. You know, we do the best we can, and so with the water aspect, we have to think about filtering the water, right? So I'm going to kind of put that on a side note for a moment, and revisit the sort of filtration and even purchasing water aspects of getting good water into your system, and the sort of maybe challenges around that. But yeah, so if we're dealing with filters and dealing with buying water, then of course it's not 100% free, but water for the most part, at least for the moment, is pretty darn cheap, right? Next to nothing. So an interesting thought, okay? Most of us are dehydrated on a regular basis. In fact, there was, and I forgot where I read this, but it really kind of sunk in, and I hold this kind of thought with me quite a lot. And it's about when you get thirsty, when you feel thirst in your mouth, when you feel that parched, you're already dehydrated. So it's not like that's the signal of like, okay, drink a little water, Amanda, and then you're going to be fine. Like, no, you're already far gone dehydrated when you're feeling thirsty. So the cue is to drink water, you know, as you need to every single day, so you don't get to that point, you don't dehydrate yourself. If we lose just 5% of what our body requires for water, just 5% of the sort of daily dosage of water that we should be consuming, we will have a significant drop in our energy, about a 25% drop of energy, just from having 5% less of the water that we need to function. That's kind of crazy to think about. Just 5%, you know, it's a good amount of percentage, thinking about how much water we are, you know, that fills our body, that we're basically, it's from 60 to 70% our bodies are made of. So that's a lot of water to kind of ponder. And not only, you know, when you kind of break it down to why our body uses so much water, and why, you know, a lot of the components are water reliant, it's because they're practically made of it. Like our brain, let's see, what do I have here for percentages? The heart and brain are roughly 73% water. So when I was mentioning the brain fog, yikes, of course, if we're dehydrated, our brain's gonna, like, you know, imagine like a little raisin just kind of shriveling up in our head. The clarity is not gonna be there. The brain fog is gonna set in when you're 73% water and you've gone down, you know, 5% to dehydration or whatnot. It's really going to strongly affect your ability to think clearly and to be productive. Your heart as well, it's crazy, 83% water. Your lungs are 83% water based, so that's another incredible thing. Your skin is 64% water, so especially this time of year, we're in autumn right now. We're like legitimately in autumn. We're headed towards winter. I can already feel a dryness in the air. So this is a time to be even more sensitive about how much water are you getting into your body. You know, we need it, our skin needs it. Like, I already feel it crackling up on us. So you know, being mindful of that. Blood, of course, is 70% water. There's no, you know, surprise there. But even your bones, 31%. Even our bones that we feel like are so hard and, you know, solid, there's not much moisture going on there, 31%. That's a huge chunk. Kidneys, 79%. So we're looking at almost, you know, a good chunk of our major organs and how much they're reliant on how moisturized we are, how hydrated we are. This is so, so very important. So how much water should we be drinking on a regular basis? Well, it's typically the sort of rough gauge, and of course there's going to be a little bit of variation from person to person, but on average it's going to be half your body weight in ounces. So what doesn't count? I'm talking just straight up water. You can flavor it a little bit, and I'm going to talk about some of my favorite flavoring techniques for water in a minute, but I'm not talking about tea, I'm not talking about, definitely not soda, definitely not coffee. You know, herbal teas, no, all of those are pretty much diuretic, especially coffee and a lot of herbal teas. They make you pee more, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because diuretics are good to kind of flush those kidneys out and whatnot. But you have to be mindful because they can be dehydrating over time. So as much water you drink in, if you're having 3 cups of coffee in the morning and you're peeing like every 15 minutes, you're losing a lot of that. So you have to kind of take that into account around that sort of rough starting point of half your body weight in ounces. So in a perfect world, that's what you're drinking every day, just water. So if you have all these other beverages that you like drinking throughout the day, that's fine, but make sure you get your water in first. So a couple things to think about, especially right now because it's cooler, it's drier, our body is not craving cold things anymore, okay? The sort of high heat summertime is over, okay? We might have a couple more fluke like 80-degree days over here in New England because sometimes that happens, but pretty much it's not going to happen. We're kind of over the hump, I think, of summer, and we're kind of easing our way into winter. So that means no more ice, no more cold drinks. Just put those aside. I know for some of those people out there are probably like, well, I love my iced drinks and I can't drink water unless it's iced and whatnot. Just hear me out for a moment. The thing about iced water is that it actually is a lot harder to absorb because your body isn't going to absorb ice cold water. It's not going to, that's not available to hydrate your actual system, or I should say not as easily absorbed, because your body is going to have to warm it up first and then absorb it into the areas that it is needed most. Otherwise, you're just going to pee it out. And I definitely notice this even in the summertime when it's absolutely okay to do iced, especially when it's 90 degrees out. There's a time and place for it. I will be peeing more, and I will be like, wow, I'm drinking so much water, but I'm just peeing it out. Yeah, because it's iced. So our bodies don't like iced beverages, especially in the fall and winter. So room temperature at the very coldest, okay? Just give it a whirl. I promise it will help you in the long run to really offer your body that hydration that it craves, it needs, and will really serve it well. So some of my favorite ways to flavor water is with fresh ginger. So I'm talking go to the store and buy some ginger root. And there's a couple ways you can do it. I don't care about the skin. I leave the skin on, and I actually just get my little baby Cuisinart and I chop up like a good hunk of ginger root and I just throw it in, chop up the chunks, throw it in and blend it so it's this like, grated sort of blob of ginger. And then I put it in a Tupperware container and keep it in my fridge. And then every morning I get my hot mug of coffee, listen to me, I don't even drink coffee, I don't know where that came from. I get my hot mug of water, and then I throw a pinch or two of fresh ginger grated, and I just let it swirl around and marinate, and then I'll take either a squeeze of lime or lemon, and I'll add that to it as well. And it's the perfect way to start your morning. And even if you do indulge in the coffee and the caffeine, that's cool. Drink your ginger lemon water first, or if you don't want those flavors, you're just going to stick to the water, your hot mug of water. This is a wonderful, just kind of wake up call to your system. It's a little treat to just get things moving, wake up your metabolism, wake up your whole body like, oh, she's awake, she's drinking something, breakfast is on the way. It helps the ginger especially helps to stimulate your gastric juices, your digestive juices, to kind of get what's called in Ayurveda your digestive fire going. So if you have a hard time digesting things, or if you have like you get upset stomach or even nausea or maybe constipation, things are just sluggish, ginger is your friend. It just helps to boost everything, warms your body up. It's awesome. And the lemon and or lime is fantastic for giving your liver a boost. And again, incorporating some of those bioflavonoids, which are really just free radical chasers and toxin chasers to flush them out of your body. Being mindful that if you're throwing the whole fruit, the lemon sprig or wedge rather, right into your water, that's cool. I love doing that because the peel, the rind, has so much of those volatile oils that have the anti-inflammatory properties and liver supporting properties, but make sure it's organic. I'm kind of a stickler on organic, especially when it comes to fruit, because that skin is so thick on the fruit that if we aren't buying organic, that those limes and lemons have been sprayed, so the chemicals get absorbed and held in the skin, so then when you toss them in your hot water, it starts to seep out. So we don't want any of that stuff. So either get regular lemons or limes and squeeze it and then throw it out, or buy organic, throw the whole thing in after you squeeze it. So that's kind of my offering to you. The other way that I like to flavor my water is something called Wise Water. And this is an Ayurvedic sort of balancing blend. It's a very like light, sort of benign flavor. It's not overpowering, but you use seeds, different kinds of herbal seeds that help to kind of bring your body's balance back into sort of its middle ground, and it helps any body type. So any individual will really benefit from this. So it's basically, and I have links for the recipes that'll be popping up on the screen in a moment. We've got cumin, coriander, and fennel seed. And so it's a half a teaspoon of cumin, it's a 1 teaspoon of coriander, and 1 teaspoon of fennel. And I like to do the big 32-ounce mason jars. Let's see, I don't actually have, well, this has herbs in it, but this is the size I'm talking about. So I drink all of my water in this typically, although today I'm using my little mini mason jar for my tea. Excuse me. So yes, and that's something that's called Wise Water. Kate Gilday, amazing herbalist up in upstate New York, taught me that recipe. It's a really lovely one. And I also like to add in my fresh grated ginger, maybe a squeeze of lemon, and it's delicious. I drink it all day long. So even though these guys are flavored water, they still count as legit water for part of your half your body weight in water dosage for the day. Some other things to consider. You know, people who they work out a lot, they're very active, they focus on those electrolyte drinks, so things like Gatorade, things like Powerade, even, let's see, even Emergency, those are electrolyte packets you can buy at the health food store. I'm not a huge fan of those guys. Certainly, you pick and choose your battles, you do what you can, but as far as the Gatorade and the Powerade stuff is concerned, and even like the vitamin water, they're filled with lots of additives. First of all, they have funky colors. So that alone, those are petrochemicals. Those are petroleum-based dyes that are just, they're not hot for us. They're no good. We don't want them. A lot of them contain xenoestrogens, which are those basically chemical, artificial estrogens in our body that wreak havoc on our endocrine system and wreak havoc for lots of different people, and have been connected to a lot of different imbalances and even types of cancers that research is getting kind of acquiring more and more knowledge about. So we want to keep the additives, the chemical additives out of it, especially when it's just color. Like who cares about what color your electrolyte drink is? Whatever, you're drinking it. It doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to be fluorescent blue. I don't get it. The thing with vitamin water, although it has these lists of ingredients, like, oh, look at all these different kinds of vitamins you're getting, chances are you're peeing them out. If you're peeing kind of like this bright yellow, right over like an hour or so after you chug your vitamin water, you're peeing those vitamins out. They're not readily absorbable to the body. Vitamins, for the most part, they're all synthetic, and so our bodies are really picky about what it can absorb and what it cannot. So there are some vitamins is kind of a different topic, and I'll touch upon that in a moment. Maybe even not today, perhaps next week. But you need to be mindful about the variety of vitamins that are actually available to our bodies to absorb. Vitamin water tends to not be really a viable option for our systems to kind of absorb and really utilize. So it's really kind of a waste of money when you think about it, because you're getting those crappy dyes, you're getting a slew of vitamins that you may or may not be absorbing, and honestly, you can make them at home. So if you're really loving the watermelon flavor or the citrus flavor, just add those things to your water. Again, I have a link for you to check out. Make your own vitamin water and just use real food. Use not, the things that are artificially flavored, lemon, lime, watermelon, berry. Just go get some berries, chop it up, throw it in your water, let it sit overnight in your fridge. Take it out in the morning, let it get to room temperature, right? And then drink it, or strain it, or chew on fruit all afternoon as you're drinking it. Like, there are so many ways just to do it on your own, and it doesn't take any time. It really, really doesn't. It's something you can do at night, go to bed, boom, ready for you in the morning. So you can get really creative, and again, I'll have some links for you. What else did I want to say? Oh gosh, okay, so the other thing about buying water of any kind is the plastic bottles. Gosh, those are, of course, even if they're BPA free, there's lots of other chemical components within there that we don't know a whole lot about. And again, it's the xenoestrogens contained in many plastics. And gosh, we just don't need any other toxins being pulled into our bodies, because there's a lot already. And again, I don't want to be a downer about it. Just want to make you aware of making conscious choices around how much you choose to include in your life, because we're living in a plastic world. My computer is plastic. My iPad is plastic. Plastic is everywhere as is, getting absorbed one way or another. So let's kind of keep it to a minimum where we can. So plastic bottles is another thing. So again, mason jars to the rescue, or all those lovely, like fancy, clean canteen containers. So there's lots of different water bottles are now glass with like rubber wrapped around it. So it's like you don't worry about smashing them upon your day-to-day activities. So being mindful of how you're transporting and using water as well. So veer away from plastic bottles, and it's just horrible for the environment too. We got to kind of give Mother Earth a helping hand where we can. Okay, so this is another factor of the sort of price around water, is the filtration system. So depending on if you have a well or if you live in the city and have city water, filtration pretty much has to happen for the most part. More and more research is revolving around the fact that because we are a medicated society, hey, everyone, meds are here for a reason and they can help a lot of people, so awesome, it's great that we have them. But there are a lot of people, taking pretty potent pharmaceuticals, antipsychotics, antidepressants, even the methadones for getting off of certain heavy drugs. Like it is all around us. And I think every community has some people just needing support in different areas. It might be one of us, and that's all good. But we have to think about the fact that what goes in must come out. And a lot of these drugs are only absorbed about 20 to 30%. The rest goes out through our urine and into the wastewater treatment, especially if we live in a city. And the wastewater treatment centers are not created and don't have the ability at this point, or it's actually, I shouldn't say the ability, that it's just not, they haven't prioritized this area, to strip those pharmaceuticals out. And so there's more and more research showing the presence of these heavy pharmaceuticals in our city waters, that they're not getting filtered out by the wastewater treatment, because that's just not part of their protocol, and we are taking them into our bodies, certainly in small doses. But over time, if we're being good doobies and we're drinking our water, half our body weight in ounces every day, we're getting a large amount of those pharmaceutical drugs within us. So we have to think about getting a decent filtration system to filter those out. So there's a couple options, and again, this is just to educate and inform you. I know some people are probably freaking out right now, like, what? I'm drinking pharmaceuticals? Hey, we're in it. We're in it. We're doing the best that we can, and baby steps to kind of along the way make better decisions for ourselves, right? So a couple options for filtration. One of the best ones that there's been some science to back up its specific ability to filter out the drugs, the leftover drugs that might be in city waters in your area, is the reverse osmosis filters. And those definitely, hey, you get what you pay for in the world of lots of areas, but I promise it's worth the investment. And depending on the system, you can get one for your house between $200 to $1,000, depending on your house and your system and how it sets up. But then the other way to filter is from our regular good old charcoal filtration system. Now the science isn't as behind the charcoal quite yet. It knows it can filter quite a bit out. It's kind of like people are on the fence, like how much of the pharmaceuticals are being filtered just from the charcoal itself, but it does have the ability to absorb a lot of those components out of our water system as well. So even the simple Britas, even the simple pure, filter systems, something to think about, that it's better than nothing, just to kind of keep our waters clear. Again, this is an issue as far as the pharmaceuticals. This is an issue for regular well waters as well as city water, because everything gets absorbed back into the earth regardless. So even other toxins, even like radiation from certain areas where we live, we're kind of living in an environmental cesspool in one way or another. And, we got to keep loving our planet, doing what we can to keep these pollutants at a minimum, but also supporting ourselves and what we're taking into our bodies as well, because, we're just in it. But hey, there's lots of things that we can do around it. So well waters or city waters, you have to kind of be mindful of just getting, a simple filtration system. And again, anything's a little bit better than nothing at all. And then one other thing revolving around city water in particular is the fluoride sort of debate. And it's definitely a debate that hasn't kind of come to a solid, firm end note or like conclusion. But there are definitely people that are claiming we're getting too much fluoride in our systems, and that actually fluorine, which is the naturally occurring element that we have on our planet, is very beneficial for dental health. But when we change it to fluoride and we connect it with other, sometimes it's chlorine, sometimes it's other elements that connect to fluorine to create a new element, fluoride, that is different altogether. And it's still really, there isn't a ton of data saying that yes, absolutely, fluoride is beneficial for our teeth. It's more often than not, it's the more specific element of fluorine. Not only that, but the fluoride that we're receiving is actually not created specifically for the health of the people in the city and offering it to our city waters. It's actually a byproduct from lots of other corporate sort of machines and what we're doing in other different ways that just create these byproducts, these chemical byproducts. And so we have to get rid of it somehow. And that is honestly where the initial step to add fluoride to our water systems was that we can slowly get rid of this stuff that we don't need or really want, and we can offer it into our water systems and slowly leach it out in that form. Again, you know, I believe it's a 0.07 parts per million is what people are still claiming is beneficial to our health, for our dental health. But typically our city waters are having like 1.2 or even a little bit higher added to our system. So again, we're getting small doses of this, but over a period of time, you know, it can really build up our systems. And, you know, not to get into, you know, conspiracy theories, but it's something to think about as well, that we just don't need as much fluoride or fluorine as a lot of folks are telling us. And there's a lot of research out there showing different studies done on different people's dental health and relationship to fluoride, fluorine content in the city, sort of the city water. And certainly it differs from city to city, but sort of the validity and need for us to be taking in as much as we are. So something else to think about for filtering. So again, cartridge or reverse osmosis, if you really want to, you know, go fancy, you know, it's an investment, but certainly one that is worth looking into. And then one other aspect of water is water that we absorb through our pores, right? So even though we are thinking about maybe filtering the water we're drinking, we have to think about filtering the water that we're drinking through our pores as well, because in the shower, in the tub, you know, we're not drinking as much water as we would be with the cup of water, but we're taking in a lot through our pores. And especially when we are heating up the water and we're steaming ourselves in the shower or the tub, chlorine, which is found in every city water, turns into a gas. And then we're inhaling the chlorine into our lungs, which is absolutely no good for our lungs, especially as we're headed into, you know, sort of bronchial cough and cold season. We want to make sure that we're taking good care of our lungs and not inhaling chlorine, which absolutely turns to gas upon when it's heated. So guess what? Shower filters exist and they're cheap. You can get a really nice one at like Home Depot or Target or Kmart, or even Amazon sells them for not much at all. And you just unscrew the nozzle of your shower head, attach the filter, and then screw the nozzle back on. They're really easy to put up on your own, and they're fantastic. They really work well, and I promise you, your skin will actually improve too if you have the tendency to break out or have lots of dryness. Filtering your shower is an amazing gift that you can offer yourself as well. What else did I want to talk about? Yes. I think I may have covered almost everything that I wanted to talk about around water, but let's revisit all the benefits of water again. Okay, so we've got joint health, we've got energy, we've got reducing headaches, weight loss, water retention, skin, digestion and metabolism, weight loss, circulation, liver and kidney support, heart support, brain support, immune function, skin health, detox, cell reproduction. It lubricates. There are so many things. Brain fog, right? Clarity of mind. So many things that we can offer our bodies, and that honestly will will kind of start to reverse a lot of the imbalances we might be experiencing in our lives just by drinking enough water on a daily basis, like forevermore. So starting small, one of the favorite things that I can do for myself, and again, we're all different. In fact, my sister and I talk about that a lot. She likes drinking lots of little cups of water. Like she just has this little cup, and maybe she has like a big pitcher or jug, and she'll just refill it. And she likes to do that because when she sees like a big mug of water, she's just like, oh man, like it's too much. I can't drink it all. I'm the opposite. I like to get my 32-ounce mason jar and I fill it up. Actually, I get 2 of them and I fill them up with my lemon ginger wise water or whatnot. Sometimes I just put some ginger in there and I have them both set out in front of me for, on my work table, and I see them all day long and I just drink them until they're gone. And certainly some days are better than others. But I like to have that reminder of like, hey, get 2 of these in you today and you're golden, and then you can drink whatever you want. And that might work for you. Or maybe you're like my sister, you like the pitcher with these cute little cups and you just fill them up and you have them with you all day long. Whatever's going to work for you. But half your body weight in ounces is the way to go. And, really offering that to yourself. It doesn't take really any effort at all. It truly, truly doesn't. It's ultimately free. And it can change so many things for you. I promise, if you just give it some time. And so what I'm going to be offering you guys is the opportunity to kind of win. I'm gathering up a little raffle, like a little raffle bag of some wellness goodies that I'm going to send off with a lucky winner for those of you who are joining me during this series. So all you have to do is, with each topic we talk about each week, so this week being water, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, post your pictures of you doing your daily water drinking, maybe what recipe you decided to do, whatever activities, however you want to show off yourself using water, giving yourself a thumbs up that you're getting your daily water in, to help spread the word and empower others, and also enter yourself into the raffle. You can post as many pictures as you want for this week, and of course next week it'll be a new topic. So drink your water, commit to it, and just reap the benefits. You really will. If you can really focus, even just a week, 2 weeks, really just kind of commit and dedicate yourself to making this one change, because it's all about baby steps. There's so many different things that we can do to take care of ourselves, but if we can't drink enough water every day, we're not going to get that far. That is a huge founding block for health. So do that, and it's an amazing place to kind of springboard you into the next step. So baby steps is key. Drink more water, tell me about it, post your pictures, post your thoughts and questions, and please share them on Lion's Tooth Wellness Facebook page as well. So if you haven't found Lion's Tooth Wellness online on Facebook and you're on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, please find me, post your pictures, and use the hashtag #DrinkWaterYourBestSelf series. Thank you so much. I'm excited that you're joining me, and I look forward to touching base with you all next week. All right, happy drinking.